People run for lots of reasons, like health, and if you're being chased by a bear, and that's about it, right?
I think those are the only two reasons that I've heard.
Well, we have thought of several other reasons, unexpected surprises that we had getting into running. Liam, what's your number three?
Yes, so my number three is just overall endurance. After starting to run marathons, if I maybe have to go, maybe I miss a bus or I have to walk somewhere far, my friends will say, "Let's take a taxi. It's 2 kilometers. You don't have time for that." And now I've become the guy who says, "Oh, it's walkable. Oh, we have to walk 3 hours. It's walkable. That's not bad." And now I feel like I have the endurance for that because I think, well, I've done worse. I've done so much more. So now seems relatively so much easier. So whether it's walking far or just doing almost anything physical, compared to before I started running, now it all feels so much more manageable, and I feel a lot more capable when those challenges arise.
I totally agree with that. If something is like a kilometer or two away, then we know how long it takes to walk there, and it's not going to be exerting or anything. If you can run 42 kilometers in a morning, then you can walk all day. So your scope of what is walking distance really expands, and um, in a way, it kind of feels like rest to just be walking for hours and hours. And yeah, so that's one of the many benefits that I share of running. My number three unexpected benefit of running is socializing. When I first started running, it was just me in a forest in White Rock, British Columbia, during COVID for like a year. And then it wasn't until I started traveling after COVID ended in 2022-ish, and that I actually started running with other human beings. And I found every time I did a marathon or a half marathon or any kind of race, I'd always make new friends. And in recent years, I've started running clubs specifically as a way to make more friends outside of my regular social circle. So work and the crosstalk stuff that I do. People who are just otherwise completely unrelated to my life. I can make that like a new social circle. So that's my number three unexpected benefit of running is socializing.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. When I go back and visit Canada, the first people I message are my running friends, even though I met them later in life. I don't message my high school friends or university friends, although some of them do overlap now. But in general, it's the people who run that I am most excited to see when I go back. So I completely agree with the social side of it.
And they're the coolest friends too.
Well, that's also very, very true. Right to S. And my number two um, is the ability to wake up early. So I guess I remember in my first year of university, I took an 8 a.m. chemistry class. Sorry, I signed up, registered for an 8 a.m. chemistry class. I don't know if I can say I took it because I did not go very often, because it was very early for me. That's another story, how badly I did in that class. But at the time, 8 a.m. seemed impossible. And anyone who's done some races will know quite a few of them start before that. And not only do you have to wake up, you also have to run for several hours in the morning and get there and then get home. And just after doing that so many times, now the idea of waking up early once for an event seems a lot easier. So if I have like a concert I'm supposed to play and the call time is 10 a.m., the other people in the orchestra will be saying, "What, 10 a.m.? I want to sleep in." And by then I sometimes I get there early and I have my orchestra, like black dress shirt, black dress pants, and my running sandals. And I'm just doing a lap around the building when other people get there. And they're like, "What is wrong with you?" I said, "It's good." I said, "Good morning. It's like afternoon now." Anyways, waking up early and having energy is a very good benefit for me.
I totally agree with that too. And in general, for those of you listening who haven't run a marathon, it's actually pretty hard. It's not easy to run a marathon, but it makes everything else seem easier. So if you can get up at 3 a.m. to go run for 42 kilometers, then getting up at 7 a.m. to go to class or something like that just seems a lot easier in comparison. And nowadays, when I have to get up early for a flight, then I kind of just go into my marathon preparation mode. I know when to go to bed, and it's not a big deal. Like I don't have to rush or anything like that. I kind of have that habit now. My number two unexpected benefit of getting into running is getting into fitness in general. So running was a gateway for that for me. And back in the day, like in my 20s, I did martial arts in China for a few years. And I mostly did it for my own curiosity. I just thought it was really cool and really interesting. And of course, there are lots of physical health benefits to that as well. And just overall strength training, flexibility, endurance, and everything. But I always struggled with going to the gym just because, well, I didn't know what I was doing. And it's just so boring. Like you just do the same repetitive movements over and over again. And that's the point of it. But once I started running, then I actually had a goal with going to the gym. What it was to get my legs stronger so that I wouldn't die on the last 7 kilometers of a marathon. And then after I got into the habit of it and saw the benefits of it, that's the thing. Once you see the benefits of something, it gets so much easier to keep doing it. It becomes so much more sustainable if you see your own progress. And nowadays, I do a workout every day, half running, half gym. And it was running that got me started with that. It helped me build the habit. And then I kind of branched out from there.
Yeah, I really agree with you said having a goal for your exercise is a big help because I also I guess before I started running I did try to go to the gym. Well, I did go, but I didn't really get any results because I didn't know what I was looking for. But yeah, once I started running, I thought, oh, if I do this, like you said, my legs will get stronger. I can run a bit better, or maybe my mobility will be better, so I might not get injured or things like that. And working towards those goals well made my running better and more enjoyable, but it also made me enjoy going to the gym or doing just working at home with weights and things. And yeah, I think that's a great benefit that has also come to my life from running. Right. And my number one benefit is kind of related to your number three benefit, also on the social side. But for me, using that social aspect of running to learn languages and just practice speaking, because right now I'm living in South Korea and I am not a native Korean speaker, but there's lots of people in Korea now who like to run. And anyone who's lived in another country might know that sometimes it's hard to find people to practice with, especially if you're a native English speaker, because a lot of people might want to practice English, which great for them. They want to practice, but I also came to Korea because I wanted to learn Korean. So that was a struggle for me, finding people to actually speak Korean. No matter how good or bad I am, some people only wanted to speak English. But I noticed while running something like a full marathon, once people get too tired, it's so hard to start thinking in another language. I guess also was hard for me, but then people were more willing to just say, "Oh, I'm so tired right now," but in Korean, or they'd see my dinosaur costume. And I guess from behind, they can't tell that I'm not Korean. And they'd start passing and they'd say, "Oh, good for you. And oh, hello, hello." And then they'd try to switch to English, but I don't know, Korean's fine. And just making friends like that and yeah, speaking Korean with them really improved my Korean a lot more than my Korean classes did. And when I traveled to Vietnam, I was able to speak with a lot of runners there and in Vietnamese and practice that. And recently, a couple weeks ago on Jeju Island in South Korea, there was about 100 runners from China as well, and they added me to their Chinese trail running WeChat group. So now I have chances every day to learn, I guess, practice reading Chinese in a way that's very interesting to me because I can read about trail running, about different cities in China. So one day, hopefully, I can also go and speak with them there. Yeah, that's my number one benefit.
Yeah, that's such a great tip. And that's a tip that I give anyone who is struggling with finding opportunities for practicing whatever language they're learning. Like if someone's learning English and they just happen to like running, perfect. Go find a run club, the one with the most foreigners you can find, they'll talk to you. Because when you're running, you're not really doing anything else, right? And unless you're doing intervals and you really have to exert yourself, most of the time you're running slow enough that you can hold a conversation. And it's just really natural to just talk to random people and have conversations. And you can do that with any language. Like if you want to learn a language and you go to that country, join a run club, you'll probably get more speaking practice than you would, just going to a restaurant, ordering food And then I don't know, but that's pretty much all you do really when you live in a country. If you're a digital nomad like I was for the past few years. So I'd have to go out of my way to find opportunities to talk to locals, and that's a good one. Or anything else that you are into in general, really. Like if you're into beer, okay, find like a beer drinking club where people speak the language that you want and just do lots of that. Yeah. My number one unexpected benefit of running is I don't know how else to explain it other than the meditative state of running or the Zen-like state. And I tried meditation a few times, didn't really get into it. Mm, I just didn't really. I liked the idea, but I didn't really like the act of doing it. Like I didn't really feel like I was getting anything out of it. And then later on, I realized that I get most of the things that people get out of meditation from running. So running is my meditation, and it's my time to just relax. And I always feel really weird saying this, but I find it very relaxing to just go outside and run in big circles for 3 hours. The longer, the better, really. And put on some heavy metal music and go make myself really tired. That's the definition of rest and relaxation for me. And, but you feel really good after that, and you sleep really well, and mm, it's just a great way to get outside and just be alone with your thoughts. Like your mind can just trail on and whatever. I'm not looking at my phone. I'm not doing work. It's in a lot of ways the exact opposite of my job, which is staring at a screen. And my mind is really active for hours and hours on end, but my body is very inert. So this is the opposite. My body's moving, but my brain can just check out. And I find having that juxtaposition to be really refreshing. And sometimes if I just need to think about something or just clear my head, then going for a run is a great way to do that. Do you agree with that too?
I do completely agree with that. I don't think we planned agreeing on everything before we started this. But yeah, one term I quite often say to my friends is meditation pace, which I guess sounds really weird to think about it, but I guess you mentioned before your first few marathon distances were not official races, so you ran completely on your own, just going for 42 kilometers, and I did the opposite. So I only had the hyped up, woo, like keep cheering for each other and keep running. And then after a few years, I tried completely alone, just lonely 42 kilometers. And at first it was brutal, just so mentally difficult. I guess because maybe I was trying to keep up the speed of a big race. But then eventually, after a few times, I really just listened to my body and just was breathing slowly and running slowly. And I think I was like well over a 5 hour marathon pace. Like each kilometer was at least like 7.5 minutes for the first part of the run. And at first it was hard, but as it went on, I had cleared my thoughts up a bit. But by the time I hit kilometer 30, suddenly it felt like, okay, I'm warmed up. Now I'm ready to race. And I didn't even have any like gels in the middle of that. So it's just such an interesting mental phenomenon that I experienced as, okay, I can warm up my body by running 30 kilometers. When the idea of running 30 kilometers a few years ago would have been just that thought would have been impossible. So it's yeah, very interesting how that like healing state can come even though you're moving the whole time.
Yeah, you get into kind of a flow state where it just feels like the natural thing to do is to just keep running. I don't know. I
Yeah,
find it
yeah,
very relaxing.
exactly that.
And as a side note, running is the perfect introvert sport. So for people like me who aren't good at stuff with balls and all that, running is great because you don't have to worry about being better than anybody or anything like that. It's not like you're competing with someone. You can compete with yourself, or you can just go out there and do it, and it doesn't matter. And you don't have to talk to people for a few hours. Or if you want to talk to people, then you can find others that have a shared passion and talk with them about running and other things too. So I really like that balance where you can do it as a way of socializing, but you can also just do it totally as a solo thing. And it's very sustainable that way because you don't need to have a partner or a team. You can still keep doing it on your own from anywhere in the world.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. It's very good to just be completely alone. sometimes and just, yeah, just be with your thoughts and your feet. That's not.
We could go on all day about the many benefits of running, but these are our top three each. And this is a podcast, so like and subscribe. That's what they say on all the podcasts. So do that, please. And we'll talk to you next time.